Hello everyone. So in this session, we will be having a basic walkthrough of our project, whatever we have shared so far. So if you see that, this is the README file that has been prepared and already been uploaded along with the project. And here the steps, whatever you need to follow in terms of set up this specific framework in your system that has been mentioned. The required thing is the first one, that is your Docker desktop. That is something we need to download. It's a very easy to download. You can directly check out over the Google and just download the file and install it. Second thing is that is git clone command that we need to run along with our shared repository URL. Third is mvn clean install. This can be your very first um, execution like command, so that whatever the dependencies required, it can be downloaded and gradually installed, and it can help to build your project. And mvn clean test is the command that you can actually use for your further test execution. um, so the next one is this specific note section. If you see, I have mentioned at least two important commands over here. Those are Docker commands, right? So one is Docker space ps hyphen a. So this is required just to know that what are the uh, currently container that is basically installed in your system. And second thing is like, what is the Docker status? Okay, so if your Docker is like installed in your system successfully, then only this Docker ps hyphen a command going to be work, otherwise not. Second command, that is Docker hyphen compose. So this is something we will be discussing in our further videos. So now if we have a quick overview of our specific project, then how it looks like. So let's get started. So the very first, that is form.xml. So these are the dependencies that we are currently using. So one is Selenium Java, second is TestNG, and then log4j, and then Commons IO, and WebDriver Manager. Even though for the time being there is no such use of WebDriver Manager, but it may be a chance that in future we may have some scenario where we need to implement this. Apart from this, we have also used this build tag, right? And under that we mentioned Maven Surefire per plugin, just to map our testng XML suite, and so that Maven itself can trigger the testng XML once we will execute Maven goals like mvn install or mvn test. After that, as part of this folder structure, so under the src and main, we're gonna have at least two folders, that is pages and utils. So pages are just to like locate or just to store all the page whatever we are targeting to be automated, and the utils are like the common utilities. Other folder that is very important, that is test folder, and we have at least two files over here. So one is base test and one is registered test. If I open the base test, you can see that the specific application URL, which is demo.automationtesting.in, this is the URL that, or this is the application that we are targeting to automate for our purpose, like for our demo purpose. So this is the specific application that we are having. It's a very basic application, just a register flow, first name, last name, and the address, and a few basic details, and we need to click on the submit. Now, if you see that we have been used over here, this parameter stack, right? And then browser, that means like we are expecting to have some browser name from our testng XML, so that we can actually perform the cross browser execution. If I just wanted to show you that how it looks like. So if you open this testng.xml, so here is the parameter that we have defined over here. So one is for Chrome, another one is for Firefox, and that's it. Now, after this specific parameter, our actual configuration is started as part of the before method. And if you see that here we have put at least two conditions. So one is like for Chrome, another one is like Firefox, and the key role that is being performed by the remote WebDriver, which is being mentioned in the line number 29. So as you know, like say to launch the Selenium grid and set up the hub and all, normal WebDriver instance may not work. So we need to assign the remote WebDriver instance. And to assign the remote WebDriver, we need to pass the URL because we need to tell to the Selenium that in which specific server or maybe the IP address the hub has to be run, right? And that's the reason if you see that we have mentioned like new URL and the http colon forward slash 192.168.0.2 colon double five. Now there might be a question like how we can actually fetch this specific address. So first of all, just let me tell you that this address is nothing but your IP address, right? And this is the port on which you are intended to run the Selenium grid. So how to fetch it? So if I just open this specific this one, which is PowerShell, and there is a command called ipconfig, right? And if you see this, so here the first part under the wireless LAN adapter Wi-Fi, IPv4 address is there, and which is basically telling you that your specific IP address, which is 192.168.0.2. So this is the IP that you need to fetch from your terminal or maybe the Windows PowerShell, whatever you have, and then you need to form this URL, right? So our Selenium grid going to execute on the specific URL only, right? And once it is done, the other basic things that we have actually written over here, that is the maximize window, delete cookies, and we are launching the browser and all those things. Okay. And if I just quickly provide and walk through on the registered page, so this registered page is basically contain all the elements whatever we actually required, and the strategy that we are following over here, that is page factory. And finally we have written at least two very basic methods, which is like the first one can check like whether you are on the specific or desired page or not, and second thing can help you to create a new user or register a new user. Okay. And then if you see this register test, so there is a very basic test that we have been created. So we are basically extending the base test so that we do not need to always create the or instantiate the driver, right? We can reuse the property. And finally there is a test that we are having. Okay. And yeah, this is the one more thing, that is dependent jar, correct? So if you see this, so in under the dependent jar folder, we kept one jar file, that is Selenium server 4.1 which is nothing but our Selenium standalone server jar. It's going to help us to launch our Selenium grid locally. Okay. So from where you can actually download it. So I have already opened this URL. If you see this, so this is the selenium.dev/downloads. And once you navigate to this page, this is the specific version that you can find it out. So for the time being, this version is showing as like 4.1, but it may differ based upon like on which you are referring this video. But whatever the latest stable version, you can go ahead with this. Okay. Now if you just come over here and just try to perform the execution. So if you see that our suit is already been mentioned, and we are trying to perform the uh, parallel test, right? So test, that means like whatever the test we have defined, we are trying to perform the execution those tests in a parallel mode. Okay. So this execution, because we need to start the Selenium grid, right? And after that, we will perform the execution. So these things, those two part, we'll be covering in our next video. Thanks for watching.